तो फ्रेंड्स केजी क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम आपको एल्डोस हक्सले के लॉन्ग आंसर के बारे में बताएंगे। क्वेश्चन फर्स्ट, राइट ए शॉर्ट नोट ऑन द थॉट्स रिप्रेजेंटेड बाय हक्सले इन सेलेक्टेड स्नोवेरीज और राइट ए क्रिटिकल एप्रिसिएशन ऑफ द एसे सेलेक्टेड स्नोवेरीज रिटन बाय एल्डोस हक्सले। आंसर हेडिंग है इंट्रोडक्शन। एल्डोस हक्सले ए फेमस प्रोज राइटर इज really famous for the psychological subject. Selected Snowberries is one of his remarkable essays in which he presents a psychological problem of mankind. This essay is very delightful and entertaining. Its style is very simple and the elements of humor and satire makes the essay very interesting. Through his impressive sentences, he shows his perfect command over English language in this essay. For example, the writer points out modernity snowberry, though not exclusive to our age, has come to assume an unprecedented importance. The reasons for this are simple and of a strictly economic character. Thanks to modern machinery, production is outrunning consumption. Heading है the theme. This beautiful essay deals with different types of snowberries which are commonly found in the general mankind. According to the writer, everybody is a snob about something or the other. There are people who are snobbish even about the diseases from which they suffer. Some people become the victims of buying snowberry. In this remarkable essay, the writer uses wit and satire. It is said about Huxley that he usually wrote for the intellectuals. A critical comments the modernity snobs. It is obvious is industrialist best friend for modernity snobs naturally tend to throw away their old possession and buy new ones at a greater rate than those who are not modernity snobs. Heading है prose style. Aldous Huxley has become one of the greatest prose writers because of his successful prose style. Since Huxley was a novelist, a poet, a journalist, and a story writer, he had a perfect command over English language. In this beautiful essay, his prose style is very mature. Though he uses long sentences with different words, his expressions are always clear. When he passes satirical comments, his language becomes more interesting. In short, this remarkable essay of Huxley declares that he was a great master of prose style. In this respect, the following lines can be quoted. All men are snobs about something. One is almost tempted to odd. There is nothing about which man cannot feel snobbish. Heading a bit and satire. Like other essays of Huxley, selected snowberry is also a beautiful blending of wit and satire. The humor presented by the writer in this essay is never meaningless. In this essay, the writer has a serious object. He intends to describe an important psychological problem of human being. He reveals humor in this essay, but his humor is always mixed with satire. At the same time, the writer is very careful about his psychological vision. Physiological vision. In these lines, the writer comments, most of us are also art snobs. There are two varieties of art snobbery, the Platonic and the unplatonic. Platonic art snobs merely take an interest in art. Unplatonic art snobs go further and actually buy art. Heading a different snowberries. The writer presents different types of snowberries in this essay. First of all, he points out about diseases snowberry. After this, he describes wine snowberry and later on the highlights the modernity snowberry. He comments that modernity snowberry is increasing very fast in the present society. At last, the writer throws light on the art snowberry. He divides the art snobs between two groups, Platonic art snob and unplatonic art snobs. He comments that art snobbery is also concerned with the culture snobbery. Therefore, art snobbery can be encouraged. A critic points out the value of art snobbery of living artists is considerable. True, most art snobs collect only the works of the dead. For an old master is both a safer investment and holier culture symbol than a living master. But some art snobs are also modernity snobs. Heading a conclusion. Selected Snowberries is short and entertaining essay of Huxley. It is remarkable for its unity of thoughts. The treatment of subject of Snowberry is witty, humorous and satirical as we find in many of his essays. Indeed, it is one of his most amusing essays. This essay has been recognized as a psychological presentation of Huxley. Not only the theme of the essay of entertaining, but it is also possesses simple and noteworthy prose style of Huxley. There is nothing obscure and vague in the essay. This is the essay which appeals only the intellectual readers. The following lines of this essay reveal the fact that Huxley produced very complex theme in a simple prose style in this essay. If we regard activity as being in itself good, then we must count all snowberries as good for all provoke activity. Next question, write a note on Huxley's prose style or discuss Huxley as an essayist. Answer. Introduction. Heading है Huxley is one of the most remarkable prose writers of 20th century. We find a mild satire and art in his novels and essays. There is a mild humor and satire in his essay. As he progresses in his art, we find a change coming in his art and manner in his later works such as prose studies and ends and means, which are the most significant works. The style has become more dignified, sober and reflective than in the works of the earlier period. He writes in a simple, direct and progressive way. He shows absolute command over language and bears a richness of thoughts to convey in a language which is his tool. He writes logically in the way that readers do not come in the perplexity of ideas. Having a wide range of his essays. Aldous Huxley was a great writer. He wrote prose, poetry, biography, drama, short stories and essays. Nearly he handled each form of literature except one act play. It is astonishing about him. He covers a wide range of his subject matter and manner. Apart from his purely creative art, he wrote on painting, science, moral, music, philosophy and religion. His range of interest was wide and his concern for human interest. His essays are connected with the wide range of love, sex, logic, politics, philosophy and different entertaining subjects. He was well equipped with humor and art. His irony is as outstanding as his satires. He made fun of the sophisticated subject and customs prevalent in the society. He was a moralist and there is a note of protest in his prose. His essays show his gaiety. Heading a didactic note. Huxley found that mankind is suffering in suffering. It was broken by the two worlds war and other civil wars. He found the world under universal tension. He points out that men's problems are not economic or ethical, but they are related to the psychology. The main problem facing the modern age is how to bring about a change in mind and heart. His mental and economic emotional outlook to develop humanitarian and philanthropic tendency. His essays have universal message. In selected snowberries, there he narrates a universal appeal. It is not limited to any nation or age. He says that all men are snobs about something. Some of them are proud of one thing, others for other things. If some of them have nothing, they seem to be proud of some disease they possess. Persons who are not ill try to show themselves ill and wander from doctor to doctor in search of cures. The problems do not belong to us in the way as we boast. This is the problem of thinking that we earn sympathy. Writer's message is universal in a great style. Heading है Huxley's style. Huxley is well known for the use of paradox, which has an entertaining effect on the readers. His essays show not only his mastery of English prose but also his intellectual integrity and a healthy, rational approach to the various problems facing us today. Simplicity, lucidity, and elegance are the important features of his prose style. His descriptions are pictures quick and appealing. His use of exuberant similes and metaphors enhance the pleasure of his prose and creates humor. He never preaches in the dull manner. First of all, he describes something with logics. He takes the readers in his confidence and argues. It brings a message to the readers and they happily seem to accept it. Heading a conclusion. Huxley often penned in a hurry, but he did not let the quality of his prose fall. His style is marked with spontaneity and natural essay. His mind was well full of words and he uses them to suit his purpose. His pen brings the readers to magical effect. His images are not merely decoratively, rather than they serve to deck his concept and means. Question third है, what is the central thesis of the essay Tragedy and the Whole Truth? Answer, although at the last of the essay Huxley makes the point that the human spirit has necessity of both kinds of literature discussed by him, it is sure that he is interested in whole truthism. This idea of showing the whole truth grew in Huxley during the 1920s until in his novel Point Counterpoints we have the full range from the ugly to the beautiful. His interest in the whole truth becomes apparent also from his comment on the kind of literature that was being written in his personal day. Of all the significant works of contemporary literature, points out Huxley, not one is a pure tragedy. All contemporary writers of importance prefer to state or to imply the whole truth. Proust, D.H. Lawrence, and Fire Guide, Kafka, Hemingway are here five obviously important and significant modern writers. They are perfectly unlike one another. They are at one only in this: none of them has written a pure tragedy, and all are interested in the whole truth. The note of Huxley's approval of this behavior is unmistakable. It would seem then that Huxley is indirectly defending and justifying his personal work as a novelist. It would be difficult not to agree Huxley's central thesis in this essay. Tragedy, by its very nature, imposes restrictions upon the writer. The writer of a tragedy purpose at producing an effect of emotional intensity. He must therefore be careful to select his material. He must neglect from his work that does not directly or indirectly impresses the total effect. Concentration is of utmost significance in a tragedy. A novelist, on the other hand, can manage to write in a different manner. The wholly truthful kind of literature like Tom Jones is all interesting and all powerful. Indeed, it would not be wrong to call Tom Jones a famous encyclopedia of 18th century life, pure whole with layers of incidental reflections on fashion, social class, law, morals, education, sexual activities, immensely rich sociology, as well as an ending fable of good and evil. Hemingway too is digressive in his novels. He too includes of all sorts of fact and irrelevancies in his works. There is no doubt also that no actually pure tragedy has been written by any of the writers named by Huxley, not even by Hemingway. Those work has a genuine tragic quality. Huxley's personal novels are maddeningly encyclopedic. Few writers have put upon fiction real the weight of exposition which Huxley wanted it to bear. Huxley presents a bias in thinking that the effect of the wholly thankful kind of literature are more ending and stable than those of a tragedy. Nothing could be different from the truth. When a tragedy turns into intensely as Huxley shows, how can its effects dissolve sooner than those of the other kind of literature? Certainly it is psychologically unsound to point out, as Huxley does, that the excitements produced by a tragedy are in the nature of temporary inebriation. Can anyone deny that the soliloquies of Hamlet, the fate of Desdemona and Othello, the ravings of Lear, and the end of Cordelia go on to haunt him long after he has read the tragedies interested? Do we soon forget the great effects which tragedies like Oedipus Rex and Antigone produce on us? No, a genuine tragedy influences us more deeply and for a longer period of moment than any wholly truthful novel, which is bound by its nature to be digressive. Huxley's argument in this humor does not carry this belief. Next question is tragedy and the whole truth is discursive essay? Answer: this essay is itself by no means digressive, although Huxley is apt to write in his characteristic digressive manner even in his essay. This particular essay, like some others in this particular collection, Music at Night, develops a single idea and is highly complicated. It is completely free from digression and side issues, and it possesses a perfect unity with a logical development of the idea. It is too a perfect essay like most others by Huxley's pen. Whether be accept with Huxley or not, be relies intellectually stimulated by this essay and even exhilarated. Almost every point Huxley makes is duly exemplified. Indeed, Huxley gives us as many examples and facts as could have been accommodated in an essay of a moderate length. The treatment could not, because of restriction of space, have been exhaustive. Much more could be written about the two types of literature, but Huxley's aim was restricted, and this essay serves the aim admirably. Although this essay is very serious, it is not wholly devoid of Huxley's characteristics touch of humor. The whole account of Sophia's tumbling down from her horse, much to the entertainment of the bystander, is humorously written. Huxley here shows the comic spirit of the original, adding a witty comments of his own in the following sentence, and sure enough that brief and pearly gleam of Sophia's posterior was sufficient to scare the muse of tragedy out of Tom Jones. Equally amusing is Huxley's imaginary picture of Macduff eating his supper, growing melancholy over the whiskey, with thoughts of his murdered wife and children, and then with Lasses still dropping off to sleep. Thanks, best of luck.